Okay. Test, test. Okay, babe, turn the speakers off. Test, 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 test. I can't hear it. Huh. Okay. Okay. Test, test. Okay, babe, turn the speakers off. It's just a delay. It is a delay, that's right. But hold on. Okay, so then turn the speakers off again. Okay. Yeah, that's what I meant. Test, test, test. So we can't hear it in the sanctuary, right? No. Okay, good. Okay, so we can hear it with the speakers off, but that delay kind of makes it a little bit.
It's gotta go into the universe.
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
It has to go into the magic
I
place.
think we are, those fairies. Oh.
Mm.
How did you guys see? Yesterday was a long day, I'll bet.
It was great though.
It
It was very nourishing. Do we do this?
Yeah, no, Puerto Rico's ahead of us, right?
Okay.
Anand,
My dear.
so about how far in are we going to do the switching over so that just the people online can hear it?
You will have so much notice.
Just look up at me and just give me a signal now. Just go like this.
So, I'm gonna So I'm gonna explain to them what they're doing,
This mic is on.
okay? And then, so I'll explain what they're doing. And then I will demonstrate. And then I'm gonna explain it again.
You want to put your hair back? It's not sticking. For some reason. Try that. Feel better?
We're good.
So yeah, just give me, when you're ready for the side speakers to go down, and you don't want the people in the room to hear it, go like this,
Okay,
down, okay?
got it.
And it's 9 o'clock.
It's 9 o'clock. Oh, and my watch is dead. Okay. Maybe 5. We should start. 9 o'clock. Too gentle?
Thank you for being gentle.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So I understand we have a commitment to be out of here wrapped up at 10:30. So we're going to start on time, or as close to it as we can. Do you want to come up now? Okay.
Welcome, everyone, and welcome everyone online. If you could turn off your cell phones, that would be great too. So I want to welcome everyone to the workshop, Transforming Your Triggers, Befriending Our Disowned Parts with Reverend Sarah Anand Anma.
You got it.
Here she is. And she's here as our candidate for our minister. And she will also be leading the service tomorrow. And she's an ordained Unity minister. And she's here from Puerto Rico with her lovely husband, VJ. There's VJ. And so this is important. So after the workshop, if you could fill out your feedback form and leave it in the basket on the front desk, because it's important that I get it today. And if you're online, what you do is you go to our website, and at the top bar, you'll see feedback for Reverend Sarah Anand. And so you click on that, you get a feedback, fill it out, and then we will have it. So please do that. And thank you. And here's Reverend Sarah Anand.
Thank you. We'll light the Christ candle before we begin. So I think our culture really undersells the importance of transition. So we all transitioned from someplace to come here today. And maybe you had some urgency or some, oh no, I gotta get there, or maybe it was easy and smooth. But one of the things that I find very powerful, especially when we come together, before we even start with prayer, is to just kind of embody what did it feel like moving from where you were, probably home or somebody's home, to here today. So what that would look like for me is like, oh. So that's like an abbreviated version, but when we move our body, it helps us to be more open to what's arising. So just take like 5 seconds to express yourself in your body and how that was to get here. I'm a wiggler, so you'll see me wiggling a lot. Yeah. 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 Great. Thank you for playing. We're going to play today. I see that I have a bunch of playmates who are willing to play with me. Thank you. So let's start with a prayer. Just land where you're seated or standing. Make yourself comfortable. If you like, you can lower your eyelids or soften your gaze. Focus on something. And just drop into where you are. Yeah, big sigh. I heard that. Yeah. We are coming together today to have fun and joyful transformation that's amplified by each person exponentially. We come with open hearts and open minds, open eyes, figuratively. And we want to give land acknowledgement to the Nis Anan people and the ancestors who have been stewards of this land for thousands and thousands of years. We're so grateful to be guests here for your stewardship. We're grateful for the aspects of joy and levity, love and laughter. We allow them to be the fuel for our transformation. Knowing that whatever wants to be revealed will be revealed and is welcome. And we'll give it a soft landing today. And so it is. Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. There's a couple of agreements that are always good to start off. So we've got some guidelines, right? And in situations like this, confidentiality, of course, is key. It's a little tricky because this is being live streamed, right? So self-care around your own confidentiality. There'll be times that you can share at them in the group. And so just taking care of yourself. Also, I like something that I learned from Quakers. When they are in circle process, they have something called secondary confidentiality, which is the space holders listen and they just hold it. After the process is done, the space holders don't say, I have a great resource for you, or I know somebody that you should meet about that problem that you were talking about. So they really hold confidentiality to a next level. And so we can do that here, and we can all agree that feedback is only by consent. And there'll be time after, and also after our time together. So feedback by consent and afterwards. Good? Using I statements, stuff that you all already know, but the main agreement is, are you willing to have this be fun and playful and friendly? Yes. All right, me too. Okay, so we have buttons or triggers or activators, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, what are they? Well, the way I see it is that they are an outsized response to a stimulation. Whether internal, because I'm really good at pushing my own buttons, or triggering myself. Spoiler alert, all triggers we're doing to ourselves anyway, but that's later. So our response is outsized, right? We lose our executive functioning. We go into one of the fear signatures, like fight or flight or freeze or faint or appease. Those are some of them. They keep expanding the list. So, okay, we've got buttons, we've got triggers. I know that you all have been doing What's in the Way is the Way book, and so you're very conversant with the fact that this is something for me, right? And when we can get a little bit of separation, we can use it for our spiritual evolution and to have more connection with one another, right? You know, I don't know about you, but historically, and still can, I've had an experience of tug of war with my buttons, triggers, whatever. It's like I'll have the trigger, and then I resist the trigger, or I tell myself, and that can look like I shouldn't be having this, or this shouldn't be happening, or blame somebody else. Outsourcing, I call that outsourcing, right? And we do all of this very innocently, because something happened at a time that we didn't have the capacity to handle what was happening, so we adapted. And then we survived, right? And a lot of these adaptations that we've done have outlived their helpfulness, and yet they're still there. So has anyone here tried to intellectualize them away? You're, right? Like, oh, I've handled that. And then, what happened? I thought that I'd, done so much work on that. I should be more evolved by now. Anybody got that? Yeah. And bless us, because all of it, the buttons, the triggers, the resistance, it's all done in innocence. It's all innocently done. What we're going to do today is we're going to befriend these parts or personas. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Befriend them. Do what Gay Hendricks calls loving the unlovable. Loving the unlovable. And it's courageous work. But I know from my experience with the congregation online, and now some of you in person, that you're game. You're equipped. You're more than equipped. You're eager and enthusiastic for this stuff. You eat it for breakfast. And we get to include the times that we're like, I don't want to do any more self-improvement stuff. I'm done, I'm tired, I need some binge watching, or, a walk, or, distraction, right? Yeah. So, one of the ways that we can find our triggers when we're just sitting together here is, because when I'm feeling great, it's like, I don't have any triggers, but then, it feels like I'm T-boned, is I can get kind of quiet and remember, like, who am I blaming right now? And why? Who's my, if you saw the recorded sermon that was circulated, who's my jerk bee? That's kind of an inside joke. I'm not going to get into it right now. But, who's the person who's like pushing that button, who's triggering me? And again, it's done in innocence, in love. Well, really, we're looking for love. We're looking for connection. And if we didn't get it when we needed it, we've got to protect ourselves. And these triggers are very effective at that. They're armor. But the thing about armor is it keeps it all out. The love. It keeps the love out as well as the scary. Is that better? Just keep letting me know if it needs some work. Yeah, I've also heard it, the clamp on the hose. When I put the clamp on the hose, it doesn't distinguish between the really good, juicy stuff and the agonizing stuff, the despair, the grief, the harshness, right? So when we open ourselves up to the scary bits, we're also opening ourselves up to love. And, you know, we had a beautiful example of the healing power of unconditional love just last night when Vijay and I got to meet the board. The amount of unconditional love poured into and around us was incredible and informed a really rich conversation that Vijay and I got to have back at the hotel that took things with us to a whole new level. You know, unconditional love really is an alchemizer. Is that a word? It alchemizes. And so we're going to bring those bits, the unlovable bits, forward, and we're going to play with them today. So, one of the things that we do in this courageous work is we take 100% personal responsibility. And I've noticed from my own experience and also from working with people who are sensitive that sometimes that can get weaponized into self-blame. Like, I've heard it before, like, I'm sick, I made myself sick, right? Something as subtle as that can be really weaponizing it, you know, hard on the self, rather than I'm having a health opportunity. And I wonder what wants to come forward here. I wonder if there's something here that wants to be healed, other than my physical nature. I was sharing with Vijay this morning, I've had a series of very deep experiences recently, and they've created all these openings. And this, and you, are a big part of that. But it culminated in, I've had hip pain since I was a teenager, and I'm not a teenager. I'm 54 now. I've had this really, at times, debilitating hip pain. All the modalities, all the, body work, acupuncture, energetic healing, blah, 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 whatever it is. But I had, and I didn't realize this till recently this week, that I had some self-blame mixed in with it. Like the energy that was propelling me was, I have to fix this. And in meditation the other day, in this opening, here, not in this building, but in Grass Valley, I had this opening of, is there something you'd like to tell me? And it came in the form of like an amalgamated memory that was more about the feeling than about the event or series of events. And I felt it, and as I felt some opening, some tears came, but I didn't feel sad. Back in the history, I was feeling sad. So my body started releasing it. And that was a couple days ago. And then last night, my hip was on fire. I couldn't sleep. And I just met it with some massage. And then I knew I've got to move my body. I'm up in the middle of the night dancing. I did some stretching. And then I got quiet again, but with some music that's very meaningful to me. And it was like, I don't want to use that analogy, it's gross. Anyway, it opened up, like it was a big release. And again, I didn't have to feel the feelings, I got to witness them. And moving away from that self-blame of, I've got to fix this, I've got to make this go away, into a, hi honey, what you doing? Do you want something? You hungry? You need a microphone, megaphone, a flag? What is it? What do you need? And that created this opening. And my hip feels like I was 15. It's incredible. But I don't know about you. Then my mind is like, well, what else can I fix? Like instantly, I was like, simmer down, little by little, as we say in Puerto Rico, little by little, little by little. So 100% responsibility is not to be confused with self-blame or weaponized blaming the self or others. You know, I talked a little bit about outsourcing. Again, we do that in innocence, and that's a protective measure because generally my experience has been that it's too much for me to handle inside, the anger or the sadness, my part in it. I've got to smear it out somewhere else, on somebody else, because this is just too much for my system to handle. And we get a lot of environmental feedback from our culture that reinforces that. The finger pointing, you need to do this in order for me to feel okay. But something I say a lot, to myself mostly, is if the other person's a problem, then I'm screwed. Because I can't change them. I can only change me. And then my follow-up question is, how free do I want to be? How free do I want to be? All right, so let's talk about personas. That's what we're playing with today. So personas are those unlovable bits, or the disowned, or the shadow, right? They're the parts that we've been trying often to fix, solve, make go away. And then we'll be happy. Finally, I'll be free, right? But the tug of war doesn't work. And I love Mary O'Malley's quote here. Personas to me are a representation of the spells that she talks about in this book, also called stories, right? For those of you who haven't read the book. The stories that are first level is telling ourselves from the intellect. So this is her quote. You may also have been conditioned to believe that if you just fix yourself or your life, you will be enough. That's in quotes. And thus know the peace and happiness you long for. Dot, all done. I'll just fix myself and my life, and then it'll all be fine, right? I'm going to read it again. You may also have been conditioned to believe, excuse me, if you just fix yourself or your life, you will be enough, and thus know the peace and happiness you long for. Am I the only one here who has fallen into that trap repeatedly over and over and over and over again? Yeah. We still have play that we can do because we're still breathing, and so there's still stuff. We're still in the human experience as spiritual beings. All right, so again, we do them in innocence. They're adaptive measures. A lot of times we've repressed, depressed, denied, tried to fix, solve, make it go away, right? So anybody know of this is not a trick question, I'm going to set you up to win, but does anybody have a persona that they're like, that's like popping right now? Like one that they can really like handle, like, oh, I've definitely got. So no worries, because I've got some options. You're welcome to choose from this list or create your own, build your own adventure. So any perfectionists here? Anybody who wants to do it perfectly the first time, know exactly how to do it perfectly the first time, and also look really good in the process? Anybody else? Yeah. The looking good part is very important too. Doing it wrong. This is one that I have been dancing with a lot. It seems to me to be like a core foundational persona of mine. Like, I'm doing it wrong. And no matter what I do, it's still wrong. Even if I do it right, it turns out wrong. And I had that come up the other day when I had got my parking ticket validated. And I was in a heightened emotional state already because I had to do this like, I don't know, 25 times before I could safely get out of the parking garage that was like built for ants. And I have a big truck. So I'm like already kind of like, meh, meh, meh. And then it's very narrow, and I put the ticket in, and there's somebody behind me, and it hasn't been validated. And I went through the roof because I was so mad at myself. I realized as I unpacked it, I was mad at myself for no matter what I do, it's still wrong. And it was $6. That's not a lot of money, right? But it wasn't about the money. It's never about the money. P.S. Any money triggers, it's never about the money. That's just a very convenient vehicle that we have to hang our hang-ups on, right? Oh, fart in a skillet. So that's something my grandpa used to say, and he used to call my grandma fart in a skillet because she would just like be so busy and doing this over here and then like running over here and da-da-da-da-da. Well, I have fart in the skillet. And I know if I'm doing fart in a skillet, or in my husband's family, we say spring in the butt, boing, boing, going, bouncing from one place to the other. If I've got that going on, I'm trying to outrun a feeling. So that persona is very effective for me to outrun a feeling because it can't catch up with me. And maybe I'm actually doing something productive, which is unlikely. And so then I can like give myself a little pat on the back. Oh, community cop. This is especially, this arises in spiritual communities a lot. They're not living by our principles. Anybody relate? I mean, it can, and of course it expands to the wider community too, like citizens arrest, you ran that stop sign or whatever it is. Like, you just cut in line in front of me. Ooh, holier than thou. I'm the most spiritual person in the neighborhood, I've definitely played with that one. Anyone relate to that? Like, ooh, I'm the most spiritual person in my family, or my friend circle, or the congregation. And again, it's so sweet. It's really sweet. And it's just looking for love and attention, right? All alone or by myself. Any super self-sufficient people who have a hard time asking for help here? I got this. I'll do it. Our niece, when she was 2 and 3, somebody would go to help her and she'd be like, I'll do it. And she needed, that's developmentally good because she needs to learn her autonomy, right? And how to do things. But mine sounds like that still at 54 years old. It's like, okay, honey, simmer down. I'm the only one who can do it. Also, like, any over volunteers here? Yeah. I'll do the dishes. No, I got it. They can't do it right, so I better just take care of it. A friend of ours, years ago, she confessed to some of us. She was like, my husband was chopping the peppers, and it took everything in my body to just not go over there and take the knife away from him because he was doing it wrong. And it's like when we do that, when we intervene in that way, then, who wants to help somebody who's so bossy about it? Scorekeeper, I did this, you should do that. Scorekeeping. I was good. I did something nice for you. Where's my cookie? Bossy britches, dyed in the wool over here. Do you see how a lot of these kind of fold into each other? Yeah. Goody two shoes also could be good girl or good boy or pleasing. I'm going to do cartwheels and get the A pluses so that I get approval, attention, affection. Really, we're looking for love, but you know. Special favorite. That is one of my favorite personas. And she is charming and fun and open, and there's an agenda. She needs that attention, affection, and approval, which can never be granted from the outside. It's the hungry ghost, right? Time cop. They are 2.5 minutes late. Don't they know that I have things to do? Worrywart. Yeah, got that for sure. They're doing it all wrong. That's, also connected to the only one who can do it. One of my besties, she's got, get off me. Like if somebody's given her too much love or attention or affection, she's like, get off me. That's a trauma response, right? Like, I can't handle this. She doesn't say it anymore, but she still has the nervous system response. Or also known as, you can't tell me what to do. That's another version of that. Oh, and the last one, still? Are you serious? I have been doing this kind of work for how many decades? And I'm still getting triggered in these ways? Right? Now, the thing is that it's easy to see with something like special favorite, or any of them really, like there is a continuum. They have a purpose, right? And when used consciously and moderately, they can help us get along in the world. And it can help us have rapport with people. Like charm, if I'm using it in a way that's natural, because I do have natural charm. But if I'm turning it up to 11, there's some deficit that I'm trying to fill in here. But if I've got it right-sized, then I can be warm to somebody who might be feeling sad or prickly or needs some love but can't ask for it, right? Okay, so I want to pause here for a moment and take questions. And I'm sorry, Daryl, that I didn't ask for a handheld mic. So I will repeat your question. This one? Okay. Who is the brave soul who's willing to come up and either ask a question? It's on? Is that number 1 and on? It says singer 1. Okay. So, questions. Or do you want to workshop one? Do you have something that you're like, I don't know quite what it is. And if you're feeling really shy and don't want to come to the mic, that's okay. You can just yell it out and I'll repeat the question so our live streamers can hear it.
I want to know where you got my portfolio.
So the question was, where did you get my portfolio? Anyone else relate to that? Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that was great. Yeah. Well, this is me, right? And we're all one, so maybe it's you too. I don't know. Okay. Question, yes?
So I really like the still.
Still?
That happened to me just a couple of days ago. I was observing my internal response, thinking,
Still?
there?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming we haven't really talked about it in depth, but what I did is, hold it in love. Right? Hold myself in love. Is that what you're proposing that we do? Just to when these come up, triggers?
Thank you for the question. The question is, was still came up for somebody here, and the question is, she was able to give it some love and attention, and is that what I'm proposing? Yes, but after we do something else that's more fun to create more opening, and I'll explain that in a little bit. So, love is always a good first, second, and last step. Like, you know, if we can access love, great. What we're going to do in a little bit is do something playful that's going to help us open the door to love. Because sometimes, especially if it's really activating, we might know neck up, oh, it needs some love, I need to give it some love. You know, we've been doing this stuff for a long time. We've been doing this kind of personal development for a long time. But sometimes it's like, you know, I need to give it love. It's like beep, bop, boop. It makes no sense. I can't access it, right? Yeah. So we'll do something that will open that door. All right. Any other questions, or does everyone feel, let me rephrase that. Anybody feel like they don't have a persona that they can like put their finger on? Anybody like missing one? Hi. Do you have something,
I was just raising my hand.
okay, then I will not call on you. Yeah. I didn't mean to instill that panic, which I feel, I feel you, I understand that. Yeah. Okay. They're all personas, right? So does anyone have one that they want to like workshop or kind of get clear on, or get a fun name for? You have one? Did you say that? Yeah? Laziness. Oh, let's just take a breath around that. What's that? Laziness of others. Okay, so you might be like the productivity cop. Does that sound right? Okay, so laziness of others could be productivity cop. Could be the scorekeeper. I got my clipboard here. I'm noticing what you have not been doing. Yeah, does that resonate with you? Okay. Yes.
So my question is, are these personas what we have adapted when we've been conditioned as we're growing up and kind of gotten off path of our authenticity?
They can come up at any point, but
Where do they come from?
most of them come from when we're little.
Okay,
Most of them come from when we're little.
they're acquired.
They're there to adapt to the environment, and it might be they adapt to our perception of the environment. You know, when we're kids, we don't have we're just learning everything, and our parent might say, "Don't eat that hot dog," and that might have lasting effects on I did it wrong, but it was just it's raw, you don't want to eat that. But, you know, so a lot of these generally come from when we're little. And they just didn't get to emotionally mature because they were locked in. And then when they would show up, we should know better. And then we repress, depress, deny, try to make it go away, and then what happens? They come out sideways. So thank you for that question. Yes?
Procrastination,
Procrastination.
would that fall into the you can't tell me what to do?
It might. It kind of depends on what is, so procrastination, and does it fill into you can't tell me what to do is the question. So it might. Procrastination is a rich and fertile ground for all kinds of personas. I would say it's a manifestation. It's a behavior that stems from lots of different personas. It could be perfectionist. Like, if I can't do it right, or I don't know how to do it, I'm just not going to get it done. It could be, I'm really afraid of what's going to happen as the result of doing the thing. So it could be fear of success, fear of the unknown. Yeah, and so, and even just like procrastination, do you see how that's not, it moves on the scale from, it's from personal responsibility to self-blame. Just the name of it, right? And I've come to find that procrastination is divine. If I relax, I can find out, is it time for this? Or am I trying to shoehorn external or internal has to be done into a calendar? And divine timing is saying not yet. Right? Isn't that more friendly? Right? And then if I'm friendly, guess what happens? I can get it done. Because I'm not in this like, I'm procrastinating, I shouldn't be procrastinating, I'm bad for procrastinating. It's more like, I haven't done that. Do I want to? Do I have the discernment in this opening? Do I want to do it? No, maybe not. Do I need to do it in order to further some goals or take care of some life admin? Probably. Okay, well, in that opening, what can I do to make it happen? I can pour myself a cup of tea and put on my favorite music. But none of that's available if I'm saying, I'm a procrastinator, right? Does that make sense? Does that feel like it addressed what you were asking? So, what flavor is underneath the procrastination for you, if you don't mind sharing?
Well, I am a bit of a perfectionist.
Mm-hmm. Perfectionist. Mm-hmm.
And, but as a kid, I was afraid of failing if I didn't do something right.
Afraid of failing. Yeah. What's really great about failure of failing is usually on the opposite side of the coin of failure of success, right? Well, of course, we've got the foot on the gas and the brakes at the same time, right? We're not going to get anywhere.
It didn't work so much. If I initiated it, there was no fear there.
Okay.
It was being given something to do by an adult,
Okay.
especially one particular adult,
Yep.
that led to that.
Okay, so I want to mirror back so I understand, and also so other people. If you were the initiator, you didn't have that fear of failing. But if an adult gave you the task, particularly one in particular, then that came up, that grip. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's probably a particular response that that person had, or you were afraid of them having. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you for that. Anybody get anything out of that? Relate to that? Yeah, a lot. Yeah, it's big. Any other? Yes, Sandy.
So with Thanksgiving coming and family all around,
Yay! Thanksgiving.
and then there is an individual that is total opposite of philosophy and all of these, I'm sure everybody can bring out. My tendency is to want to fix or convince
Mm-hmm.
them
Mm-hmm.
that they're wrong.
Right. Of course. You're the cop. You gotta uphold the law of reason and reasonability.
Yeah, and the other piece of it for me is when I know that their attitude is hurting someone that I love.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Those are the issues. I mean, it even brings up emotion for me right now.
Yeah, of course. Of course it does.
So I'm not really sure where to go with that.
Yeah.
But I hear myself talking to myself at this person, like making up a script, basically.
Yeah, anybody rehearse their corrective speech, how they're going to correct that person? Yeah, okay, thank you so much for speaking so vulnerably. Okay, so what we're hearing here is Thanksgiving's coming up, families coming together. There's one person in particular who doesn't align with the values of the house. And you want to correct them and fix them. Yeah, that's very human. And it's what we're asked to lean into here, is this whole, I know best, you do not know, I'm right, you're wrong. And we've got evidence and pie charts of why that's true, of why I'm right and you're wrong. Don't you see here? Because the persona has been gathering the evidence and pie charts, even when we're sleeping, it seems, right? Yeah, so thank you for that. And I think this is going to be very helpful. The exercise we're going to do in a few minutes is going to be very helpful for you, for all of us. Because we are all one, we know that neck up, but when the person is so unreasonable, that just goes right out the door. There's no opening there. There's no possibility for connection. Or the connection might be sparky, right? Or tug-of-war-y. Yeah. So, what might that persona want to be called? I'm just getting a tissue. I have one very similar, so you're welcome to borrow mine if you want. It's not up there. Self-righteous Sally. Yeah. Self-righteous Sally. And she, mine, dresses herself up as holier than thou. So she kind of, like, I know these things. Right? Yeah. So you can name her whatever you want. I wouldn't have Sandy in the name, because it's not Sandy. It's within Sandy, but it's not Sandy. Right? I thought I saw another hand. Yes. Misunderstood. Of course, right? I'm just doing the best I can, and you just don't get me. You don't even want to get me. Come on, blah, 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 right? Anybody have misunderstood? Yeah. I'm just trying to be myself here. I don't want anybody harming my buzz, as they say, I'm just being me. And for me, underneath that is like the doing it wrong persona. Like that's one of the, I can't conform, and yet I must conform. So see that tug of war again? We've got some opposing energies happening inside of us with that, or can, anyway.
Can't accept. That there's an acceptance going on, or a lack of acceptance of the other person.
Lack of acceptance of the other. Yeah.
Where is that?
Yeah. Yeah. So,
If you don't think like me, it's not okay,
right, if you don't think like me, it's not okay.
or I don't fit in,
I don't fit in. Yeah. That's, you know,
not like everybody else.
kissing cousins with misunderstood, right? And I want to go back to, like, how did you put it? If you're not thinking like me,
I just said, what did I say?
you're doing it wrong or not acceptable. Thank you.
But also, yeah, if you don't think like me, it's not okay.
It's not okay if you don't think like me. And it,
Why can't you get it?
yeah, exactly. And what do you think the other person is saying?
The same thing.
Exactly. They're saying the same thing. Yeah. So isn't that fun? Yeah. It's like we were talking last night about, like, how about we come shoulder to shoulder and handle that problem together rather than I'm right and you're wrong.
And why do we see it as a problem? Who taught us that?
Yeah. Why is it a problem that they have thoughts that are different from mine? Well, we feel insecure, maybe. We feel like,
Disturbs my peace.
yeah, it disturbs my peace. Come on, get with the program. Don't you know you have to act right in order for me to be peaceful? I mean, that's exaggerating, right? But it's underneath it, that's what's driving it, right? Yeah. Okay, any other questions or shares? All right. So we're going to do a very fun exercise, and it's called the persona interview. It's very simple. You're going to have the questions. You're going to get in pairs. Don't do that now, because I have a fun way to get into pairs if you're up for that. Fun, ready for you're okay with a creative and fun way to create your pair? Okay. So it's going to be wordlessly, and that'll be your little cliffhanger. I'll tell you more about it in a minute. So there's going to be two of you. You're in pairs. One person is going to be the interviewer, and one person is going to be the persona, representing their persona. And you get to choose what persona feels like it wants to be played with today. And you can choose from the list or something else that arose. You can adjust the title or the name to more accurately depict your position, right? So I'm also going to give you the instructions on a slide. So you're going to have the questions and also the instructions. Here's how it's going to go. Interviewer and the persona rep. The interviewer is just going to ask the questions that are on the slide. Just the questions. There's no feedback. There's nothing. You're just asking the questions. And then the person embodying the persona, what they're going to do is they're going to step into character and wear the body language of the persona. Pro tip, it's more fun and effective if you exaggerate it. And I'm going to demonstrate it with BJ, but I just want you to know what it is first. So you're going to step in, you're going to tell the interviewer what you want to be called. And you can be creative again with the name. Feel free to borrow any of these, adjust as necessary, or come up with your own. Clear so far? Okay. Then interviewer asking a few questions. Each answer, I recommend 1-2 sentences max, because we're dealing with something that is story, right? It's a spell. We don't want to re-hypnotize ourselves, right? You with me? Yeah, so it's just like and you can embody it and use the voice of it as much as you want, but just like 1-2 sentences max. Clear? And then when you run through all of the questions, interviewer says, thank you. person personifying the persona steps out of character. If you're like me, you might want to shake it off and come back home to yourself. And then there'll be a little bit of time for the person personifying the persona. I really like alliteration, so they'll share with the interviewer what they discovered, if anything. It might come later, but there might have been something like an aha or something interesting or surprising that you can share. An interviewer has a zipper and an interested look on their face. So they're holding space, but there's no feedback. That can come later after the workshop with consent. Does that make sense? Okay. Would you please come up? And that's the question, so I will stand here so you can see them.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to first... Oh, thank you, honey. Good one. It's open, I think. No? Because it shot down. You want to just hand hold it?
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so who do I want to work on today? I think extra special teacher, because I'm up here teaching a little bit. I think that would be a fun one to explore. So I've got who I'm going to work on, right? I'm going to step into her.
So persona, what do you want to be called?
I want to be called extra special teacher.
Extra special teacher. What's the most important thing to you?
To have people have a deep experience and for me to look really good and smart and knowledgeable and wise.
Extra special teacher. When did you make your first appearance?
I'm first aware of her as a teenager, I think 12, but I'm pretty sure it happened before then. I'll go with 12 for right now.
Okay. Extra special teacher. Who did you learn your style from?
Wow. My grandmother, who is not a teacher. Okay.
Extra special teacher. What are you most afraid of?
Doing it wrong. Messing people up.
Extra special teacher. What feeling are you preventing from feeling?
Fear. Yeah, fear. Isolation. Separation. Okay, so I'm going to come out of that and shake it off. And then I'll share with you that I felt very surprised that I learned it from my grandmother. I would not have pegged that. And it doesn't even necessarily make sense right now, but more will be revealed as a result of doing that and having this opening. So, does that feel pretty clear? Yeah. Okay. Thank you, honey. Give him a round of applause, please. Yes. So I'll just, for our visual learners, interview guidelines. First, the personifier will embody, step into character. B is going to interview, so A is going to embody and be the persona person. I'll give you the instructions when you get together. B is going to interview. A is going to stay on topic. One out breath, 1 to 2. One out breath is like you just express and you don't have to inhale again, right? Like you say what you need to say within one breath. That's what that means. If you're inhaling again, wrap it up. Yeah. The interviewer is going to hold space, ask only what's on the card. I'll bring that back up, and keep the focus on A. And this is like sacred service that you're doing right now. sacred space holding. And then A at the end, and B says thank you. A is going to step out of the persona and share with B. And then again, feedback only happens after the workshop and by consent. Does that feel clear? Do we have any questions about this? Yes?
What was the part where you were saying that it was like in silence, we didn't use words? Maybe I didn't hear it right. I thought that maybe we were supposed to.
Oh, that's coming.
Oh, okay.
That's our partner selection process. So, but I want to make sure that everybody has this part first before I give you your next assignment. So everybody feel pretty clear about this? Yeah, okay. And then for the streamers, what I'm planning to do is make this mic quiet in here, and I will ask you the questions, and you can do it at home, and you can write it out, or I recommend speaking it out. But we'll come to you in a moment. Okay, so you're ready for your secret assignment to find your partner? This is going to be wordlessly. And even when you get together, the first thing that you'll say is the first question. Okay? So that's the first thing. Because there's kind of a socially, whatever, inspired response, behavior to, oh, how you doing, da, 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 ba, 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 which is natural, but it also kind of takes us out. It's meant to bring connection, but it can take us out a little bit. Plus, we don't have a lot of time, so we want to get to the good stuff, right? Okay, so wordlessly, as best as you can. Notice the persona, the perfectionist might be like, okay, wordless. You're going to find your partner for this exercise with your eyes. And you'll communicate with your eyes. So this is an opportunity to be creative and to make some language with your eyeballs. I recommend getting somebody far from you, because it's really easy to communicate with somebody who's right there with your eyes, right? So stretch a little bit and find somebody who's far from you. And if you're somebody who wants to stay seated, you can communicate that with your partner, with your eyes. So try to sit on your hands if you need to, because gestures are very easy. And if you need to use gestures, of course, that's okay, because there's no doing it wrong. But it's kind of a fun exercise to get us into that creative, playful space, right? So I'm going to count us down from 3, and then you'll seek out your partner and wordlessly move to them and sit down, and then I'll walk you through the beginning. Sound good? Clear?
What if they don't pick us and we pick them?
You will find that. You'll figure it out. Yeah. There'll be somebody else. Catherine.
Would you mind putting the personas up one more time?
Let's do that real quick.
I have no idea which one.
All right. Here's some of the personas, not limited. Does everybody have somebody that they want, a persona that they want to work on? Everybody's got that. Okay. Anybody not have that? Okay. You don't have one? That's right. Well, the indecisive persona, that was a good toss right there. Is that maybe other? Like, I don't fit here. I'm large and contain multitudes. I don't fit in these.
I fit all of them.
The one that feels right for me is not up there.
Oh, great.
But it, in asking the questions, I'm thinking, oh, I don't know that that's gonna work.
Well, can you share with the one? Shy. Yeah, that works. Yeah, you'll find something. You'll explore and you'll discover something from shy. Right? Thank you. Thank you for overcoming your shyness and saying it in a room full of people. Anybody else have one or don't have one? Yes. You don't have one. Okay, what's something that pushes your button? How about somebody who cuts you off in traffic? Does that bother you? Do you feel frustrated? Yeah? Or people who don't use their turn signals? I mean, come on. We can all agree on that. That's just not cool. Okay. So, does that feel like something you could play with? Traffic cop? I'm sorry? You'll figure it out. Okay. Yeah, I would recommend that you be the interviewer first. But I'm going to give you instructions on how to figure out who's going to be interviewer too, but just one thing at a time, okay? So everybody feels okay? You've got something? Okay. So go ahead and on one, you'll find your partner with your eyes, no words or sounds, no gestures if you can manage, and you'll find somebody that's not sitting right next to you. Can we walk around? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, in 3, 2, 1. And notice if there's something coming up where you just want to say something. Great. 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 Working out. Yeah, that's a good one. Let's work on that one. That's a really good one. Okay. Now, if you don't have a partner, please raise your hand. So we're an even number? Oh, no, we're not an even number. Would you like to work with me? Would you like, yeah? Okay, so everybody else has a partner, correct? Okay. Do you mind coming up here? I'm sorry? Oh, have them do it? I am. Yeah, okay. So if you don't mind, the two of you, and then, great. Okay. Thank you, honey. All right. Let's take a deep breath. If you want, you can sigh it out. You've got your persona. Okay. So except for, well, yeah. What was it? Let me go back to the person with the shortest hair is going to be B. Okay? Shortest hair is B. That means interviewer first. Interviewer first. Okay? Person with longest hair is going to be the persona. If you're like me, you might want to stand. I'm a kinetic learner. I like to, but you can definitely do this sitting. But it's easier for me to embody the persona if I actually step into it and assume the body language. So people at home, you can figure out what persona you want to play with, and you can step in. I'm going to be your interviewer. You can step into the role, step into your character, your persona. Great. And then what we'll do is we'll just let B start with the first question. What do you want to be called? What do you want to be called? And great. So, persona, what do you want to be called? And you can write it down if you want, or you can say it out loud. Saying it out loud is awesome. I'm going to set the timer. You have 4 minutes. please stand by, everybody. Please, thank you. Something went strange. Okay, so what do you want to be called? What's the persona that's showing up? And have you embodied it? Have you put on your body language and maybe even the voice? All right, so persona, whatever you want to be called. What is the most important thing to you? What's most important? No editing, just be with it as best as you can, but concise. And you can rant if you want. And persona. When did you make your first appearance? And persona, who did you learn your style from? And this might be surprising like it was for me. Persona, what are you most afraid of? And persona, what feeling are you preventing your host from feeling? Okay, so A, go ahead, or the people online, go ahead and step out of the persona and shake it off. And if you want, you can share anything that you learned in the comments. Sorry. Time check? 2 minutes, okay. No, not yet. Can you? You've got about another minute before we pause. So wrap up your interview in the next minute. Time? Okay, and go ahead and wrap it up. And then we'll just take 1 minute for the personifying person to share what did you learn, what surprised you, anything else. So you have a minute to just express one way, right? Interviewer is just holding space. Okay, so let's all just take a nice inhale together. Shake it off if you like. All right, so now we're going to switch. So now the person with the longest hair will be the interviewer. Okay, so persona, yes, question. Yes, list of personas again. And Rebel can also go up there for sure, and, you know, Square Peg. Anybody Square Peg? I just don't fit. I don't even fit in the personas. You know.
I know you need Sybil up there.
Yeah, like the one who's constantly changing. Okay, so go ahead and personifying person, step into character. And people online, you can double dip if you like, get a bonus, unless you have a buddy and you can be doing it together. And persona, what do you want to be called? Go ahead and write it down or say it out loud. And then, what's the most important thing to you? Great. When did you make your first appearance? Who did you learn your style from? Good. And what are you most afraid of? What feeling are you preventing your host from feeling? And then when you're ready, go ahead and step out, shake it off, add anything that you needed to add that didn't get covered, make any notes that you want. About 1 minute to wrap up the interview part. Okay, so go ahead and wrap up. Take a nice deep breath. We've got 1 minute for the persona person to express anything that they want to express. While the interviewer is listening. Yeah, I got some fellow wigglers over there. Wiggle, wiggle. Great, let's all inhale. Shake it out if you want. And then if you can wordlessly come back to your seat or to a seat. Hug your buddy if you want. Okay, go ahead and just bullet points. And then make your way back. Great. Make your way back, please. I didn't use the song again, but maybe. Seems like you guys are hearing me. Boy. Great. Hearing and listening, both. Love that. Okay. How easy was that? Not easy? Great. Learning Edge, right there. Right? It's like the neon sign, Learning Edge. Was it fun? Did you have fun? Yeah? Brought up a lot. Okay. We have time for a couple shares or questions. So, who's the brave soul who wants to kick us off with a learning or a surprise or something that arose for you that you'll be able to? Yes. Oh, great. So we'll go with you because I saw you first, and then we'll go with our formerly shy person or our embodied shy person. Judge Judy. Anybody else have a Judge Judy? Yeah, of course. Okay. Shaki. Thanks, honey. They can't hear you on the other side of the room. Do you mind coming to the mic, please? Wear your
I'll just hand
personas
it.
proudly. Judge Judy.
Judge Judy.
Yes.
Judgmental.
Yes.
One of the things that really bugs me when I'm driving home, seeing my neighbors who have either the Trump signs or dry, high weeds and brush.
Oh, yeah.
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 So,
Weeds.
ooh, that just sets me off.
Ooh.
get
Don't you know you need to meow, 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 meow? Yeah. Anybody else relate? Maybe not to weeds and signs, but other things, right? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
What did you discover? The feeling I'm preventing is compassion and understanding for these other people who I don't even know what's going on in their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Give it up. Good job. Give it up for Judge Judy.
Okay, so this is Shy Susie.
Yay!
And my father always told me to choose my words very carefully, which makes me a slow talker sometimes. Basically, my bottom line on this one and what I discovered is it was the fear of not being accepted for exactly who I am and how I am. And I battle with stepping out and just being present to what's around me. And you're either going to love me or you're not. And it's all okay.
Yeah. Beautiful. Anybody else relate? Yeah. Like the misunderstood, the square peg, the, not accepted. Thank you for that. And we love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. It's helpful for the live streamers.
I don't want to hold it anymore.
Your voice is gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yes. Exaggeration. See how playful exaggeration is. Yeah.
I have the worst voice.
That's
so,
arguable. I'm going to push back on that.
okay. So my name was Distractible Doobie.
Awesome.
And the distractibility is a choice. I'm a retired UPS driver, and it's like I can't stop doing that 200 miles per hour, but I know why. What was surprising to me was that it first appeared in my 50s. And I've had, I was ADD in kindergarten. I had to repeat kindergarten, but they didn't know about that then, and they just called me dyslexic. So maybe I should have been distractible dyslexic. But for me, the most interesting thing, and it happened after, I didn't even take the time to get into persona. I just jumped in with all the parts all outside, and Sandy knows me. But yeah, and it was after the fact that watching Joe's example, that I had felt inside that I didn't do something right, or I missed a step. And the very first important thing was to get into persona, and I didn't, but I instinctively knew it was missing, and so I didn't find out till after the fact, and that happens to me a lot in my life, but I feel like I learned the style from myself. But what my fear is, I said, was being, what was it? My fear is being successful.
Yeah.
And what the most important thing for me is to be understood, which went along with what Shy Susie said. It was bigger than the word understood, but accepting, and people just knowing at my core. And my fear is being successful. It's like I've been told in living in that persona that I'm not good enough, I can't do things, and that's the success that I'm afraid of. Is like, well, I might as well just stay here, because you know, I'm uncomfortable with doing things well and right, and I need the approval, but I know I'm going way too long here. Yeah, I'm already at this level, so I don't need to surprise anybody else when I've got brains and they see it. So that's what I'm most afraid of. And then what feelings are preventing me is love. I won't let love in. I won't love myself. And so.
Yeah, and under that is like, if I don't let the love in, and this was mentioned, then I'm safe.
You exactly hit that on earlier in your
So,
talk.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like, if I'm not letting it in, then at least I'm safe. It's not uncomfortable, but it's at least discomfort that I know.
I know what to expect. I can't get hurt anymore.
There's no risk, huge risk, but it
I get
feels
it.
in the moment that there's no risk.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
just had those epiphanies this year. My son passed away in 2020, and my granddaughter passed away in 2014 at 11 months, and it was then that I started, in the grief, I started to shut down and put the armor around my heart so that I would never, because it's like, it feels like once you start to love something or let it in, it always ends in pain. So I've been in that operation mode for years, but
Yeah.
the last year I've recognized it.
That makes sense that you would armor up.
Oh, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
And it's a control thing.
Yeah,
it keeps me
illusion of
safe.
control, right?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, it's always the illusion of control, but at least it's something,
Yeah.
you know, we can, yeah.
And it's predictable.
Yeah. I so appreciate how you illustrated so beautifully, like, it's all perfect. Like, you didn't do the first step, but that was perfect. And that revealed to you something even deeper, right? Another thing that you can play with. Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
And I really appreciate your words about playing with things and making it fun and stop being so hard on yourself. I keep getting this farther and farther away. Thank you. I know I talked too long. Thank you, guys. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Now my next number.
You can bring it up, because we are going to keep our agreement to the camera club and scoot for them so that they can use this space. Wow. Courage, fun, friendliness, personas, all of it's welcome. And anybody feel like they have some opening around something that's gripped them? Yeah. And you can use this anytime. It doesn't have to be with a partner. I use it by myself sometimes. And I have like trusted friends that I can call up and say, hey, will you interview me? And they know exactly what we're going to do. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
And I was just gonna say, if you didn't have a chance to write it down, is this on gonna be?
We'll get it to you somehow. Maybe it's definitely on YouTube. We'll get you a copy of the slides somehow. Yay. Leslie's going to make them available. All right, so let's all just take a big, deep breath together and let it out. And blessing every aspect of us, every bit, all the unlovable bits, all the easy, friendly ones, befriending them so that we can go out and be beacons of light, right? And we're not at the effect of them so much anymore. Yeah. Yeah. So let me know how it goes. This will continue to unfold for you. Thank you. I'll be here tomorrow.